All right, we've been talking about this throughout the morning this morning about entitled kids. And, this isn't the first generation to have this happen, but maybe it's becoming more and more widespread as parents want to give their kids every advantage in life, but sometimes giving them too many advantages makes them a little bit too soft and unable to handle things for themselves as they get older. So talking about short-term gain versus long-term ability to handle life is parenting expert Maria Luce joining us now from The Empowered Mom. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Happy Friday. I'm so happy to be with you, Bob.
Well, it is indeed a great day, and thanks so much for joining us on this Friday. So, we love our kids. We want to help them out. We want to hook them up. I'll do this for you. But at some point, don't we have to stop cutting their meat for them at every meal so that they can learn to do these things on their own?
And brushing their teeth when they're 15. Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes, yes, we love our kids. Sometimes we love our kids too much. And we overparent, and we overindulge, and we overpraise, and you get a trophy because you are using oxygen. And this,
that's a wonderful job of converting O2 to CO2. Well done. Here's a prize.
Here, yes, good for you. You were born. Wow. Okay. I mean, and you know what? You mentioned something about, the different generations. And, I mean, truly, families used to have the kids to survive, like on the farms and stuff. But it's not like that anymore these days. Typically, it's not. And that's contributed to this. But also social media, reality TV, technology. This is all set these standards for the kids that it is all about me. Me, 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 me. It is my world, and you're just lucky to be in it. And parents perpetuate that.
Well, from a financial standpoint, when your kids come to you and say, I need $5, I need this, most families today, if they have it, of course, say, here you go. Instead of and again, I hate to be that, old guy, get off my lawn, but it used to be, well, then go work for it. What are you going to do? Go mow the lawn for me? Speaking of lawn, go and do something to earn that. Go get yourself a job. It seems as though parents are more hesitant now to push their kids out the door saying, go make your own gas money. Stop coming to me for everything.
Right, and that is the case. It starts little because it's like you just said. Hey, can I have $5? I'm just going to go go get a candy bar or whatever.
Right.
And you just go, you don't think, okay, here. All right, well, those little things add up. On the other hand, little things can help reverse it or help them realize their sense of contribution in the household. So, like picking up their dishes off the table, that kind of thing, and bringing them to the sink. I mean, I know it starts small, but toddlers to teens, they can contribute to the household. And that's not just learning a work ethic. That's life skills, because they're going to need to do these things when they are in college and getting their career and just throughout life.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And we're talking with a parenting expert, Maria Luce. She's the author of a book called The Powered Mom, Empowered Mom, make that. We're talking about entitlemania, a term that maybe it's a new term, but this has been a growing trend for years now. We are seeing spoiled kids being raised, and we're asking you this on our Pretty Opinion poll. Which do you think is the biggest factor in raising spoiled kids? Choices are societal changes, government, technology, and parenting. Cast that vote at WWL.com. Maria, I've got a lot of interesting text in, and I'm going to read some of these to you in the audience. One says parents are not doing their children any favors by giving them anything they want. They turn out to be unappreciative, unsatisfied adults. Another says, I just came in on the end of this, not sure what y'all talking about, but the young people nowadays get everything handed and they have no clue what it's like to live in the real world. Another one says, young people nowadays have been absolutely treated with kid gloves, given everything they want. They have no idea what it's like to be in the real world, and they don't want to be in the real world. They don't want to work. They want everything handed to them. And then maybe the most pensive one that I've got is this one. It says only grandparents are allowed to spoil the little ones. What are your thoughts on grandparents spoiling? Is that okay, or could that be problematic also?
Oh, well, I think grandparent spoiling is universal and has gone on for years and probably will. That's a wholly different topic than raising a child completely spoiled. And I love everyone listening in and weighing in on this conversation, because this is a conversation that needs to continue, and one of the many topics that we talk about at theempoweredmom.com. And I will tell you, remember, I bet all those comments that you just addressed are not from, let's say, an older generation. I bet they are parents that are actively parenting. Because remember, we are in this generation of you get a trophy just because you're using oxygen. I mean, you don't have to earn it. I mean, look, we all, as parents, we all want to make sure that our kids are confident and feel good and have high self-esteem, but this takes it to another level.
And I'm wondering if these people spoiled their kids. I would think not. I think they probably have been successful, but I'd like to hear from someone maybe that feels like they made a mistake, could own it and say, yeah, I made the mistake with my kid. And if they did, how did they unspoil them? Speaking of that, is it possible to unspoil a kid?
Okay, let's just talk. It depends on the age, all right? And, of course, as a parent, you can always learn tools that can help you. Tips and techniques that you can instill into your own parenting or into your household. So, I mean, I don't think it's ever too late, but it depends on, if it's a 30-year-old kid that's still acting like a kid, well, then they're an adult now that has to take responsibility for it. And that's why we want to set up our kids early on. And look, this can start from toddlers to teens, and they can contribute in different ways that are very small for making their beds, taking their plate to the sink afterwards, helping with contributing to the household. And this is different than chores, okay? You can have chores, and listen, I'm raising my hand. I have 3 boys within 21 months of each other. So if you do the math, there's a set of twins in there. So we have a lot going on, just like all families do. But giving them these responsibilities, number one, helps them. They do feel better. But there's also part of it is they should just be contributing because they're part of the household, not just because they exist, so you get an allowance at the end of the week for not doing anything.
Maria, we have Chuck on the line. Let's bring Chuck in. He's listening to us in Metairie. Chuck, thanks for your call.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Good, Chuck.
Hey, Chuck, how are you?
Hi, how are y'all doing?
Doing great.
I raised 4 kids, and I probably spoiled them a little more than they should have been raised like. But some of them got the drift that you have to work for it. Some of them did. I think it's more primal. I think it's Darwin's. However we do this, if the strong ones that figure it out will survive, and the ones that don't will fall off by the wayside.
You know what? Your question and your comment is great, and there is a lot of nature and nurture that happen because look, our kids have different personalities. Some are naturally more money responsible, or just get it, like you said. Some don't. But the entire household that they grow up in, can make a difference. What are the ages of your kids now?
My oldest is 38. My youngest is 28.
See, there you go. And you noticed these differences when they were very young, would you say?
Well, not so much when they were very young, but as they got older and they started to have families of their own, or actually one of them doesn't even, is single still, no children, they each decided that they wanted certain things out of life, and some of them were willing to work towards that goal, and some of them dropped society, like some of the callers said, where they don't even want to be part of the real world, but it's almost like too difficult in their minds to go towards that goal. Like they just give up.
Right, and that is, some people and some kids just from birth are more motivated than others, and that is a personality trait. And I think when we're talking about that, that's one thing, and that's something that parents struggle with. But I think really overindulging the kids overall can make a difference and can impact kids young on when they become parents, just like you're saying, and may help make a difference when it comes to making those life decisions.
I agree. And I think that parenting is a trait that I think, going back to what I was saying about the strong will survive, that parenting trait is a flaw, and it carries on into maybe another generation. So it'll get distributed. The traits, the ones that can pass that on to their children, they will survive. They will be stronger. They'll work through it. The ones that won't, that can't, they're going to get lost in the shuffle.
And you're right that you just said such a perfect thing, and it's called overparenting. And parents they don't want to do the tough work. They tend to give up when, there's any sort of struggle. They're like, okay, just never mind. Listen, I've been guilty of doing that where sometimes you need something done and you're just like, okay, never mind, just let me do it. Because it's easier, but it's not always the best way.
Very good. Chuck, thank you for your call. Maria, if you stay with him, we got a CBS News update coming back. And when we come back, I want you to talk about the good cop, bad cop with parenting. How does that influence spoiling kids? And also about what I'm calling a generational bounce back. I think in alternating generations, we see people who saw the mistake and they corrected it, and then the next generation falls back into it. And I think maybe every other generation realizes the problems of spoiled kids and deals with it. And we're talking about entitled mania, raising spoiled kids. You got to face it, millions of us are guilty of it. We've always wanted our kids to be better off than we are. I mean, that is any caring parent would want that. But sometimes instead of making our kids work for the things they want, we give it to them. Not so good. Maria Luce, a parenting expert, is with us. She's the author of The Empowered Mom, also hosts a website, theempoweredmom.com. And Maria, I got an emergency text from a friend of mine, and she says, you got to tell us now, how do we unspoil kids? What is your suggestion for it?
An emergency text of how to unspoil kids, huh? Well, it depends on their age, like we said. And again, just want to say hi to everyone. And I'm giving the phone number out because I'm going Facebook Live as well. It's 504-260-1870 because we want to hear your questions. And unspoiling kids can be difficult if we're talking a 17-year-old, because you're going to throw them out there into a harsh reality world where they haven't gotten great training and they don't have the life skills. If we're talking a 5-year-old, even 8, 10-year-old, there's a lot of things that you can do that you can lay a groundwork for them going forward. There's tips, techniques, tools, and I'm sure that, Don, that you will put the link on WWL over to my site, theempoweredmom.com, so that I can offer this information. And that will be up later today.
Very good, very good. We'll do that. Maria, I wanted to give you my personal method or philosophy we used in unspoiling my kids. I got to tell you, they are the pride of my life. My 3 daughters, they've all become professionals. And the things that I told them was, and not that I would have been able to give them everything they wanted to begin with, so that was, I guess, an advantage. But I told them I was going to leave them with 2 things. I said, don't look for a whole bunch of money or property. And, there may be some of that when I'm gone.
Right.
But the 2 things I want you to come away with from me is I'm going to make sure you have the life skills to where you do not have to depend on anyone else but yourself. And the other thing I'm going to leave you with is a good name. And so far, most people think I've done that. But those are the 2 things. And I'm proud to tell you that all 3 of them, although they're married, they all kept the Dubuque name, which tells me that, yeah, Dad, we got it.
Well, Well, that's interesting because I kept my maiden name as well, and my husband was smart enough not to fight me on that. But when you're talking about that, that is so important. And you made that statement that you want to give your kids everything they want. And that is what is, it's very natural in us as parents to do that, to make a better life for our kids than maybe what we had. But a lot of times, then it's a discipline that's missing, or they're given too much. One of the biggest issues is overparenting, helicopter parenting, and literally giving them everything they want. Well, guess what happens? That ends up hurting the child.
Maria, I've got a text in here, and I hate when people generalize because it's not always everyone, but they say millennials bring nothing to the table. They're a bunch of self-entitled, whiny crybabies who have no life skills. Now, for those that are, who do we blame? Do we blame them?
Well, I think what you just said is correct. I think it's unfair to generalize. And millennials, now see, that sounds to me, obviously, like somebody that's not a millennial. And just to say that generally, I think is unfair because there is so many skills that millennials offer and have and that are creating in our society right now that are fantastic. This can be an individual thing. So it's not, and some places are getting away from you. Again, I love to say this because I say this to my kids. They'll say, "Oh, Mom, I want this," and I say, "Well, I want to be on a beach in Mexico right now, but that's not happening." So we have to deal with reality.